How's everybody going doing it tonight? I'm David of the Sports Animals.
And I'm Justin of the Sports Animals. We'd like to begin by thanking all the fans we've gained over the past few weeks. Please tell your friends and family and everybody know about it.
Right, we want to see all the comments and feedback off this YouTube sports show tonight. We're going to start things off first with the NBA and the Dwight Howard drama finally is over. Thank God. He announced yesterday that he's going to the Houston Rockets, which to me it was not a surprise at all. I figured that he probably would wind up leaving the Lakers, and the Lakers are the biggest losers of all of this because they weren't smart enough to trade him and at least get something for him.
Now, granted, he couldn't. I don't think he can sign till this Wednesday. I believe it's the 10th of this month.
Yeah.
But we do expect. He has said that he's going to go to the Rockets. That's what we expect. I would be surprised if he does anything but that. But he is Dwight Howard, so until he actually signs that contract, I would be a little bit leery. But the chances of him changing his mind, to me, are probably less than 1%.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, that's where he's going. Uh, uh, the Lakers are just a complete train wreck. Though they're the current salary cap for this upcoming season is going to be at about 58 million. Well, the Lakers are right now are 70 million. So right now they're 12 million over the salary cap. Now, one thing that they could do to help get them where they need to be to get that to that 58 million is amnesty one player. Uh, they've already right now they're saying they're bringing Pau Gasol back. I say they should amnesty Gasol, and that'd take 19 million off that payroll right there. But if they're not going to do that, then they at least need to amnesty World Peace. That's 7.7 million that could come off the books. Either way, it's going to be another tough year for the Lakers, and it just pretty disappointing because Kobe definitely deserved a lot better than what's happening for the last couple of years. But this is now the Jim Buss era, and he has no clue what he's doing as an owner. Obviously, did not learn anything from his dad, and it doesn't look good for next couple of years.
Sadly, I think Jim Bust apparently is becoming more and more of a bust. Some people might think that Donald Sterling is secretly taking this team over, that the Lakers and Clippers have switched. Because the Lakers aren't even the best team in LA, the Clippers are. And I'm not a Lakers fan, but Kobe deserves better than this. I mean, the Lakers should be at the point, and I think I might have said it last week, that they need to be in a position to win now, and instead they're in a position to rebuild. Um, I can't see Kobe leaving the Lakers, but if I were him, I would be thinking about going to the Clippers. He'd have a better chance of winning.
Yeah, but he's one of those Laker for life kind of players. He's not. I can't see him leaving the Lakers, and I don't expect him to leave the Lakers. But on to as far as Dwight Howard going to the Rockets. Now you have him teaming up with James Harden. With that said, I still don't think that the Rockets are really going to go anywhere. I think that they're still the fourth best team at best in the West. You got the Clippers, Memphis, and Oklahoma City. To me, is still a better team than the Rockets. Now the Rockets, I think, are a playoff caliber team, but I don't think they're going to get anywhere past first, second round at best.
I think the Rockets are a lot better now than they were. Howard is definitely an upgrade over what they had. I disagree on being the fourth. I think they're the third best. To me, they'll be slightly better than Memphis, although that could go either way. It's a new era in Memphis, a new coach. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. To me, San Antonio's number one. History's on their side, and to me, it goes through San Antonio. Until you beat them, that's the team to beat. Oklahoma City is probably number two, and then the
Yeah,
Rockets are the third best team.
I forgot. I'm glad you mentioned San Antonio, which I disagree because I think the San Antonio is not going to make another run again like they like they did this last season because they're going to be once again older, and I think that with Oklahoma City getting Russell Westbrook coming back off his torn ACL, or I should say torn meniscus, I believe it was, him coming back healthy along with Durant, I think Oklahoma City has a good shot of overtaking San Antonio for the uh, number one team out of the West. Uh, but yeah, it probably will be between San Antonio and Oklahoma City uh, battling it out to determine who goes back to the NBA Finals. One thing I thought there was a signing that just did happen, which I really didn't understand, was Josh Smith went to the Pistons on a 4-year, should say $56 million contract, and to me that's just absolutely absurd because this is a guy who's a good player. He just came from the Hawks, but he averaged 17 points and 8 boards last year. But to me, he's not worth $14 million a year.
Before I looked at it tonight, I didn't even know who he was. I mean, he seems like he did a good job for the Hawks last year, but he's not one of the big star players. And of course, the NBA is a star players league.
Yeah. Well, then another kind of rumor is right now the Dallas Mavericks are thinking about, God forbid, signing Andrew Bynum. And we know what Andrew Bynum's been doing. Pretty much just like Derrick Rose, absolutely nothing because he has knee problems and he was out all year with Philadelphia, and he got paid like $14-15 million just to sit out all year. And now the Dallas Mavericks are thinking about offering him a 4-year, $40-something million contract with some kind of incentives in the contract in case he does get hurt that they want to pay him. But to me, it's still stupid on Dallas's part. Just because they lost out in the Dwight Howard sweepstakes don't mean you have to go out and get an injury-prone player in Dwight Howard. I should say Andrew Bynum.
Until I could see giving Andrew Bynum a 1-year incentive deal, but not 4 years. I understand Mark Cuban likes to throw money around, but the thing is, there's a salary cap in the NBA. He could do that maybe in Major League Baseball, but you can't do it in the NBA.
Well, now the other big kind to me story of the NBA, and it was a surprise shocker, was the Boston Celtics finally hiring their coach in now former Butler Brad Stevens, and I saw this on ESPN.com and it popped up and I was like, whoa! It came out of almost like left field, but I like the hire a lot. I mean, the Boston needed a young coach. Brad Stevens is that he's 36 years old, and because of them being in rebuilding mode, that I think he just fits them perfectly. Now he is making the transition from coming to college to the NBA, but I still don't think that's going to matter a whole lot. But this is a guy who took Butler to 2 NCAA finals, and it was only one shot away from beating Duke to win in an NCAA championship. Now you could say that there have been some failures to coach from college to the NBA. Maybe Rick Pitino was one.
The road is littered with coaches with former NBA coaches, or former college coaches who tried to do it in the NCAA. Jerry Tartanian Rick Pitino, uh,
Calipari was another one.
Calipari. There's been several. The only one that's successful that I know of is Larry Brown, and there may be one or two others, but the failure rate
Here's the
is
thing.
extremely high. The odds, I hope he does well, but the odds are against him. And Butler is still, I mean, it's a lower level college program, but at the end of the day, it's still a college program. The pros is a whole other ball game.
Here's why I'm saying Brad Stevens in 3 years will have Boston on the map as being an elite caliber team, possibly a championship caliber team, because you have had great, some of the all-time great coaches come from college to the NBA and be very successful. A la Larry Brown, won a college championship for Kansas, went to the NBA, won a championship with the Pistons. Almost won another one, a second one with the Pistons. Lost in 7 games. Carried the Philadelphia 76ers to the finals when Allen Iverson was on the team. And 2 other coaches that came from that started in college and while I'm going to the NBA that some of you all might not know about, and that's Red Auerbach, maybe considered the greatest coach of all time. Started at Navy, and then wound up ultimately going to the NBA with the Washington Capitals, and then started coaching Boston to win all the championships that he won, and then also Greg Popovich started at a Division III school as a head coach, Pona Pitzer, which I never even heard of this school.
Who?
Yeah, right. It's out of California, and he wound up going to the NBA, and we know what he's done, winning his 4 championships. So you're talking about two of the greatest coaches, some of the greatest coaches of all time, are Larry Brown and Greg Popovich, and arguably the greatest coach of all time in Red Auerbach, starting in college and going to the NBA and being championship caliber successful.
But he's just got to realize he's brand new here. What he's learned in college, a lot of it he's going to have to throw away because it's a whole nother ball game. He's playing with the big boys now. He's not in the amateur ranks anymore.
Yeah, but he's a smart guy. He knows how to coach, and at the end of the day, I think that first of all, the Celtics aren't going to be as bad as people are thinking they're going to be starting this upcoming season. They're going to have Rajon Rondo coming back, and he should be healthy from his torn ACL. To me, he's the best point guard in the game. They're going to have Jeff Green coming back. He's going to start this year. He's a nice player. They got him from Oklahoma City a couple of years ago. And also remember one thing: Danny Ainge has had a track record since he's been the executive of the Celtics as being very successful. He's won a championship, and he's gone to the finals. So he knows what he's doing, and so I trust him by hiring Brad Stevens. That was the right decision for Boston at this point in time.
Still, though, that being said, it would not surprise me if Stevens is not the coach, if somebody else was the coach by the time they're good again. Also, I think they're going to be worse this year coming up than they were this past year. Now, they'll improve after that. I think they're probably 9th, maybe 10th, maybe even 11th in the East. I don't think they make the playoffs this year. Now, I would not be surprised if they make the playoffs in 2015, 2016.
No, they're not going to make the playoff this year.
Or excuse me, 2014, 2015.
But one thing also you need to remember is this: they have a first-round pick next year because of the trade when they traded Garnett and Pierce to the Nets, and where their record is after this upcoming season. They're going to have another first-round pick, and that could be a lottery pick. So you're talking about 2 picks in the first round in a strong draft next season. So that's right there right off the bat. They're going to be rebuilding quick. And I'm telling you, no longer than 2 years, this team will be in the playoffs. And I think by year three, they could be coming out of the East to make the finals.
And that may be. But I'm talking this upcoming season, 2013-2014. I don't see them being any higher than ninth in the East.
No, they're not expected to be. But another very important thing you have to remember about Brad Stevens' kind of coaching is that his style is that metrics type thing of baseball, kind of like a la Theo Epstein. That's how that's what he brings to basketball. So that's really going to be very interesting to see how that turns out for that style of coaching in the NBA.
I could be 110% wrong. I don't see that working in the NBA.
I think
it's
you
a lot
are.
different.
I think you're 110% wrong, and it's going to be.
Time will tell.
Yeah, it's going to be proven in 2 years. But I'm going to, for myself, going to be pulling for Boston because I've always been a huge Brad Stevens fan, and I never thought that I would see him leave Butler to go to the NBA, much less leave Butler to go to another college. That's what I figured would happen. Is if he ever left, it would go to be to another college. But he is going to the NBA. And he's on a 6-year contract, so we'll see what happens with that. But I'm pulling for Brad Stevens.
Personally, considering he's never been in the NBA before, I'm shocked that they gave him 6 years. Now that could have been what it took to lure him from Butler.
I think that Danny Ainge said all along that was who he wanted to be as his coach. But we're gonna wrap that up. We're going to switch over to baseball now, which is a lot of things going on there. First of all, Ricky Nolasco just got traded to the Dodgers for 3 players, and so I don't know how that really helps out the Dodgers. And this guy's not that good a pitcher, but the big rumors always were that he was going to get traded. Could be the first or second pitcher to get traded. So that just happened. All that to me, all that's doing is just even increasing the value for Matt Garza, who's everybody's kind of saying Matt Garza, watch almost. When should you expect him to be traded? And way he's going right now, throwing a 30-inning, 3 runs, I expect it to be, if not next week or two. I guess they would wait to the July 31st deadline, but I'd say if the Ricky Nolasco deal gets 3 players, then Matt Garza should definitely get the 3 good prospects.
But they were 3 mediocre prospects. But Nolasco's he's been a decent pitcher. He's been a respectable pitcher. By and large, his career he's been healthy. He takes the ball. He gives you the innings. He may not be a typical number 1 starter, but the Dodgers need starting pitching. You look at who all they've got out. Chad Billingsley's out with Tommy John. Josh Beckett's out for the year. Their bullpen has been a total disaster this year.
Yeah, but Ricky Nolasco right now is 5-8. His ERA is pretty high in the 4s. So this guy, I get what you're saying, but that at this point in time, the Dodgers kind of on I guess they're almost in desperate mode to get a guy like that because it's not going to help them out that much more.
They are. I mean, they just need arms. It don't really matter at this point. If you look at some of the people that they're bringing up to fill in the rotation, Capuano struggled. He's going to the bullpen. Lily's been hurt. They've had some B players, basically, some people that I've never heard of. I mean, they have horrible numbers and getting lit up. Their biggest problem, although they're starting to straighten it out, is the bullpen. When they got swept at Turner Field by the Braves a few weeks ago, their bullpen took the loss in all 3 games. Their starting pitchers didn't take a loss in any of those games. The bullpen did. Now, of course, when we went back to L.A., the Dodgers took 3 out of 4. Going to L.A., a pitcher's park, I think will help Nolasco. Also, he'll be playing most of those parks, with the exception of maybe Coors Field and Chase Field in Arizona, are pitchers' parks. Petco's a pitcher's park. AT&T Park is in San Francisco is a pitching park, and Dodger Stadium in Chavez Ravine is a pitching park, particularly at night. It's very hard to hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium at night because of the air.
Well, the Giants are struggling a lot right now. They've lost 9 of the last 10 games. So to me, that's a big deal right now. But their pitching, as we've talked about before, is not there right now. Only one that is really doing anything is Madison Bumgarner. He's pretty much leading the way. Lincecum's got all kinds of problems. Everybody's talking about him going to the bullpen. And Matt Cain's struggling big time. Well, pretty much the only offense they have right now is Buster Posey. He's having his normal year he has. He's batting over 300, got 12, 13 home runs. But other than that, the offense is struggling. So they're just lucky that the division is so weak that I think they're only like 5 games out, even though they're in like I think last place right now. They could make a good run in the second half of the season, but and I expect them to make a big run. But right now, they're the defending champions are in a bit of a hole.
That NL West is going to be an interesting race to watch the rest of the year. Any team in that division can finish first. Any team in that division could finish last. Now, a few weeks ago, I thought Don Mattingly was sure to get fired at the end of the year and was going to be in last place. But as of right now, that's no longer the case. Now, that could change tomorrow. That could change next week. If the Dodgers don't make the playoffs, I could see Mattingly being out. But personally, I would fire GM Ned Colletti because he's the one that put this team together. And a lot of the problem is injuries from players that he's brought in. You look at the trade with the Red Sox. To me, that trade was a disaster. I mean, look at what happened in Boston right after that. Theo went to the Cubs, and they're
Right. Well, the spending with the Dodgers, Magic Johnson took over to be the owner and all that deal. We know all that. So they're it just proves the point that spending money all the time like drunken sailors is not going to buy you a championship. And Boston has finally realized that, and they pretty much outsmarted the Dodgers by unloading all those contracts. Carl Crawford, Gonzalez, Beckett, all those guys, and then now they're playing really good ball this year, surprisingly, and leading the division in the AL East. But back to the NL Central, to me is a very intriguing race. Maybe the most interesting of all the divisions right now. At least you can make an argument of that. Right now, the Pirates are winning the division by 2 games, and they're playing even a lot better right now than they did last year. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep this up the second half of the season. The last time that they won the division was in 1992.
That was, matter of fact, the last time they had a winning record.
Right.
They've had a losing record every year since 1992. That's the worst drought of any team in professional sports history. Now, there's a few things that are helping them. Russell Martin, who the Yankees pretty much let walk, and he's helped the Pirates a lot.
And
their starting pitching has been outstanding.
Yeah, Jeff Locke is 8-1 with a very low ERA,
8-1 with a 2.12.
2.12. Liriano is pitching really good, 8-3 with a ERA in the low twos.
Although I'm a little leery though about Liriano. His past last year and in years past, he's had some very poor records, some very high ERAs. Now, could Could it be coming over to the National League and the National League not seeing him? Could it be that maybe he's on steroids? Could it be that he spent the first 2 months on the disabled list? Could it be that he's finally healthy?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see the second half of the year. I'm not sold on Liriano yet, although to me he's making a case to be an all-star.
And
He's had an outstanding first half.
we can't forget the offense either. Of course, they got Andrew McCutcheon, who's always playing well, but
Neil Walker's one. They've got several.
the All-Star, the one that's making the All-Star left-hander.
Jeff Locke, he's had an outstanding year
No,
as a starting
the hitter.
pitcher.
The hitter. Anyway, so the offense is picking up a lot better for Pittsburgh, but right now St. Louis being 2 games out, I wouldn't. St. Louis is definitely probably the team that is going to. You would say you wouldn't bank against as far as a winning division, because they always usually make a run the second half of the season. And they got a lot of interesting players right now who are. One, for example, there is their closer, their rookie closers, Edwin.
He's actually not a rookie. He's been around for several years, but it's his first time as a closer. Now,
Edwin Mojica has got 21 saves.
The Cardinals have been a real nice story this year, but Molina's he's having issues with his knee. He's supposed to have an MRI on it. I don't know if it's anything serious or if it's going to be something that could last a while. To me, he's the glue that's holding that team together, particularly this year with all the injuries to the pitching staff, with all these rookies. I believe they've had something like 10 or 11 pitchers make their major league debut this year.
Molina is he's probably gonna make an argument that right now he could be the first half MVP, and he's in 357. So he's really off to a hot start. I agree if this knee is a problem, then I think that they'll still find a way to make the run, because I mean it just seems like they always just bring the next guy up or to replace them if they get hurt, and that.
But what's been the one constant? And not only that, to me, particularly when you look at a team dominated by rookies, to me they've overachieved. They've done an outstanding job. The question is, can they keep this up for an entire half once teams start figuring out these rookies, particularly these pitchers, and start making their adjustments? Will they be able to make the adjustments?
Well,
and also, one thing we forgot about Pittsburgh, their bullpen. Jason Grilli, who is pretty much picked up off the scrap heap a couple of years ago, is an all-star this year, and I believe he's leading baseball, or at least the National League in saves.
Yeah. I think that if St. Louis doesn't win the division, they'll probably get one of the wild cards, because they just don't. They don't. There's not too many times where they completely miss the postseason. So I expect them to be there in the end. But I don't think you can necessarily count the Reds out either. And they're not about 3 or 4 games back. They've had some injuries themselves. Johnny Cueto, for example, just went back on the DL. That guy he can't seem to stay healthy, and that's hurting the Reds a little bit. But Joey Votto is having another all-star caliber year for him, so I wouldn't count them out just yet either.
Almost forgot, congratulations to Homer Bailey for throwing a no-hitter this past week against the Giants. Now, granted, the Giants' offense has been rather stagnant except for Pablo Sandoval, but that's still an outstanding feat. Even more outstanding, he's one of only, I believe it's 40-something pitchers in Major League history, and the third Reds pitcher to have multiple no-hitters. And also, I believe the first since Nolan Ryan maybe to have the last no hitter in Major League Baseball was a no hitter that he threw at the end of last year. To have two consecutive no hitters, not in consecutive starts, but two consecutive no hitters with regards to Major League Baseball as a whole.
There's about one big thing that also just happened is that CC Sabathia got his 200th career win, and he's 32 years old, about to be 33 uh, this month. So we can take a look at who could possibly be the next 300 game winner, and I think Sabathia has, if he stays healthy and can have longevity, has a good shot at getting 300 career wins, more probably than anybody else. Tim Hudson has over 200 career wins. Uh, Roy Halladay has over 200 career wins, but it looks like he's probably pretty much done because he's hurt
We'll see.
now.
They're saying he could come back by the end of the year. The Phillies seem to be happy with where he is. Now, could that be a bunch of smoke and mirrors? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think he's going to do much of anything the rest of this year. Next year will be, to me, a very interesting year for Roy Halladay. Also,
Andy Pettit's the other guy who has like 250 some career wins, but he's like in his 40s, and I don't see him getting to 300. But we have to remember one thing. And that is when Pedro got over 200 career wins, I thought he was an instant lock for 300, and of course the injuries wound up getting him, and he didn't even come close to getting to 300 career wins. So that's really the big key. Sabathia, I think, it's good enough to have to be able to reinvent himself when he's going to have to, and we'll see if he can get if he can wind up doing it. I'm personally pulling for him because I've always liked him. Also, we have uh, Derek Jeter, who is rehabbing right now. He had his first rehab game and looked pretty good. So Alex Rodriguez, of course, also the big drama queen, as I would say.
yeah, I forgot he grounded into a double play his first at bat, and at the minor league complex they were booing him off the field.
Yeah, and he's already saying that he can't wait to get back to Yankees, and he's going to prove them wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, Brian Cashman is probably saying, we can't, we would love to get rid of you, but good luck with that, because that's not going to happen. But either way, both of them probably will be coming back. Well, I should say Derek Jeter will be coming back probably after the All-Star break. Alex Rodriguez, he might be looking at another nice suspension to be out for the rest of the year. But I want to see Derek Jeter come back after the break and see if he can still be the old Derek Jeter and do his thing of batting over 300 like he has done year after year for the longest time. If it's going to be interesting to see how many days a week he does play at shortstop. But I think he'll be fine, and he will be the same Derek Jeter. But the Yankees right now are not playing good ball. They did get a win today, but
The injuries are starting to take their toll on them. I thought the first couple of months this was a team that overachieved, and because they're trying to get under the luxury tax, to me this could be a very long, long summer in the Bronx. It hadn't been nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And of course, the Yankees, like the Cardinals, they're a team that you can't count out. I mean, until they don't, they're still relevant. But could this be the first time in ages that they finish below 500? I heard a stat from somewhere this past week that their offense overall this year is the worst since the early 90s, when they were pretty much the laughing stock of the American League.
yeah, but like we said, we just have to wait and see. I still wouldn't bet against them if not winning. They're probably not going to win the division. I think that's Boston to win this year, the way they're playing, that they've been playing. But they're still close in the wild card. so they could get one of those two wild card slots.
I think one wild card spot at least will come out of the East. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if the other come out of the AL West. The AL Central, I'm fairly convinced at this point. Now it could change. There's still 80, 75, 80 games to go. I think the Central, there's going to be one team. You're going to have to win that division. That's going to come down to Cleveland and Boston. Kansas City they're playing better than they were in years past, but they're still a disappointment. The White Sox, I think, need to just tear up and rebuild, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did that at the deadline. They have as bad a record as the Cubs, maybe a little bit worse, but it's become a complete disaster on the south side of Chicago. Maybe they need to bring Ozzie back. Who knows? I'm not sure what's going on there.
I don't think they need to do that, but and I actually kind of predicted that. I didn't think the White Sox were going to do too much this year, and they have been a pretty big mess on the south side.
In the NL, at least a minimum of one wild card is coming out of the Central, and perhaps both come out of the Central. A wild card is not coming out of the NL West. That's a division you're going to have to win. And if it were up to me, particularly with the way their records are, I would allow a fourth team to come out of the Central, because that fourth team in the Central might be better, or third team if it's one out of the East, might just be better than that top team out of the West. I could see having four teams with the best records, regardless of division, because you're having a 500 team, just a little bit over, because the Reds might not even make the playoffs, and they may wind up with a better record than the NL West winner. Washington they could get a spot out of the East. I don't think so, though, at this point, although they are due for a hot streak.
Yeah, Washington is not. It's amazing how they played such great ball last year, and pretty much just be that terrible this year. Then they had to pretty much all the same players are back. But Salzburg has been off and on the DL.
Complacency, everybody's gunning for him.
Yeah, and Bryce Harper has been on the DL more than once. So the injuries have hurt them, but that's still at the same time, the Braves have played a lot better this year. To me, I think than last year. Now their offense is still struggles from game to game, and that
Hang on, now you're in my ballpark. The Braves made some good moves in the off season. The only problem is our offense is streaky, but even with O'Flaherty on the DL out for the year, Venner's out for the year. We had to send Guerin down to AAA because he's done terrible here recently. I do think like I said last week, we need to add on armor too in the bullpen. Starting pitching's fine. We got rid of Tommy Hanson. To me, I'm thrilled. Hey, I'll take Jordan Walden over Tommy Hanson any day. And he's our eighth inning pitcher, and he's had an outstanding year despite having to miss a couple of weeks with a shoulder ailment. And where's Tommy Hanson? He's on the DL. Anyone know when he's coming back? He's like 4-2 with an ERA of 5. His ERA went up every year he was in Atlanta. His number, to me, he was overrated, and they called him the best prospect since Steve Avery. If you remember, Steve Avery was good a couple of years and he flopped. He got hurt and flopped.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Atlanta, but they'll make the playoffs. But I don't know what's. I don't think they're, personally, in my opinion, they're going to go very far. But as far as that goes with one thing I'm really looking forward to, and that's we're only 2 months away from also NFL football starting back, and that's my number one sport personally. Now I think this is going to be a really good year this year. I'm looking at the NFC. I think this could be the Seahawks year to come out and go to the Super Bowl. You got Russell Wilson coming back again, who's going to be even better. And also the 49ers losing Michael Crabtree with that torn ACL. I think that's going to hurt their offense. And Colin Kaepernick, I don't think is going to be as good because I think he's going to get exposed.
It's going to be different for him this year. Last year he had momentum, was riding the momentum, and there was something to fall back on if he didn't do well. This year he has to be the man. He's going to have a whole lot more pressure on him this year than last year, and also teams are going to be a lot better prepared. With them making it to the Super Bowl, everybody's going to be gunning for him. It's not going to be a cakewalk like it was last year.
Right. And I never have thought that Kaepernick was that good a quarterback. Even when we got all this hype last year, and went on his big run, I still didn't think he was that good because I thought that kind of offense was going to get exposed. And once that happened, then he was going to be in a lot of trouble. And so I think the defenses are going to adjust this upcoming season, and you're going to see a big difference, and you're going to see him struggle. I'm just glad though Alex Smith was able to get another starting job with Kansas City, and I think that's another team that I think to look out for as far as competing with Denver.
It won't be this year, but it may be a year or two. But they'll do good, especially under Andy Reid. Andy Reid's got a chip on his shoulder now. He's pretty much embarrassed out of Philadelphia. This time he was there a lot longer probably than he should have. But he'll do an outstanding job in Kansas City. It's going to probably take him a couple of years, but I think he's going to be fine in Kansas City. Arizona is probably really disappointed that they didn't get him.
I don't think I think that Kansas City's ready to win right now. They got like I said, Alex Smith's good. He's a good quarterback. Jamal Charles is a very good running back. And Kansas City won 10 games, I think it was last year. Denver probably is a team. Is going to be a team to beat out of that division. But
Kansas City didn't win 10 games last year. They had the number 1 overall pick last year.
Okay, I'll correct myself on that then. But I think they'll win 10 games this year.
You mean this upcoming year?
This upcoming year, yeah.
That would be a very, very big improvement. Now it could happen. I think they probably go 7-9 or 6-8. Even that in itself would be a big improvement. Because they were, I think, 1-15 or 2-14 last year.
Yeah. Well, I think they would. I think they could get close to 10, like I said. But another team I'm looking at for is the Colts. I think they'll be back again in the playoffs with Luck, their quarterback, who's going to continue to improve. And Washington, I think, with RG3 coming back healthy, looks like he's going to be ready to start week 1. Can they win their division again for the second year in a row? I think they have a shot at it, but the Giants probably will be back too. I wouldn't count them out.
To me, the Redskins will be a lot better because RG3 will be back. I think he's learned a lot from this injury. He'll be passing a lot more. I don't think he'll be trying to run it as much. Hopefully, Shanahan and company put a better team around him. I think that could have hurt him a little bit, but I think a year of maturity. I think if anybody can learn and adjust, I think RG3 can. We saw it last year. To me, he blew away expectations last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again.
I don't think he blew away expectations. I mean, everybody thought he would be a good quarterback in the NFL. He was great in college. There was a reason why he was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. He was very successful in Baylor. Won the Heisman Trophy. So I mean, it wasn't like it was some scrub coming out of college or anything. He had the talent.
But look at what running quarterbacks historically not named Michael Vick have done in the NFL, particularly say Vince Young, and I think he realizes that, and I don't think he's going to go that direction. I think in give him a couple years, he's going to really be an elite quarterback. He's good now, but to me he's only going to get better. The
Well,
trick for him is just staying healthy.
yeah, but he's always had a good arm. He's he's not like Michael Vick. He can actually, like I said, he can throw the ball. He will throw the ball more probably this year, but he's still going to run some, not as much as he has in the past though, because he can't. And I think he's a smart guy, smart enough to be able to know he has to change, and I think that's what he's going to do. And I think Washington is going to be back again and like I said, be a good team again this upcoming year. Uh, one team I'm interested in is, of course, is the Patriots. There's been a lot of changes from last year. Wes Walker gone, uh, Branch gone, uh, Aaron Hernandez, of course, gone. Uh,
Weren't they lining up the other day at Patriots headquarters to get refunds on Aaron Hernandez jerseys?
yeah, they were. And that's a good thing. But Brandon Lloyd also is the other guy that they cut. He's gone. So they've lost a lot of offense. Um, but they have Danny Amendola from St. Louis, who is going to replace Wes Walker. Um, Rob Gronkowski has to come back obviously healthy. He might not be ready to start week 1, but I think that they're still gonna be fine, and they're still gonna be make another run because Brady always seems to be able to just to find the next guy. Whoever's going to step up. Josh Boyce could step up. The receiver they drafted. Everybody's having high expectations to do great things, and I think the defense also is going to be really good this year with a lot of guys coming back. Chandler Jones, Vince Wilfork, of course, is one of the big leaders. Will be on the defense, and Devin McCourty being put at safety for a second year to me is very important because we got that Aqib Talib at DB, and that's pretty much one of the best tandems in football as far as the secondary goes. So I think that the defense is going to help out a whole lot.
This may be the year. As good as Brady is, it may not be the offense that gets the Patriots to the playoffs. It may be the defense that does it this year, and that would be the first time in ages that that's happened. But I mean, there's a saying: offense wins games, defense wins championships. If that's the case, as much as I hate to admit it, look out in the playoffs.
Well, last time they won the Super Bowl 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I think now, is because they had a very good defense, and Teddy Bruschi was leading the way. One guy I'm looking forward to seeing again. Well, actually, say two guys, Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower. Those two guys are going to be back again for their second year. I think it's going to be. So I think they're going to even improve even more from what they did last year. So I really want to see this though. The thing with Danny Amendola on the offense is this guy is very good, but he has to stay healthy for full 16 games, and that's you got a couple guys like that. Him and of course Gronkowski, who stays hurt all the time, has been very injury prone. So if those guys can play a full 16 games, the offense I don't think is going to miss too much. That's the biggest question.
Sadly, though, for Tennessee fans, I think this is another rebuilding year. And I think it's going to be a rebuilding year pretty much every year as long as Mike Muschamp's the coach. We need a new coach. He's known Jeff Fisher. Can Locker stay healthy? Only time will tell.
To me, this is a make or break year for Jake Locker. I think that if Tennessee doesn't make the playoffs, which I don't think that they will, that they possibly could be getting rid of Jake Locker and uh, look at maybe drafting somebody uh, or signing a veteran quarterback. Um, but Tennessee, to me, is still trying to have their team built on Chris Johnson, and this guy is an aging player who
He's
should never.
overrated. He doesn't show up half the time.
Well, he's not. I don't think he was overrated. I think
He's
that
getting paid too much
yeah, but one point in time he was great.
for what, 1 year? Running backs, and of course, I guess this goes back to another point. That most running backs in the NFL have a short life. Now, the one good thing about the NFL, and I wish they did it in baseball and basketball, is they don't have guaranteed contracts. That's why they do a lot of the money up front. You can be cut tomorrow in the NFL and they don't owe you a dime. In the NBA and Major League Baseball, it's not that way. Think of how easy it would be to rebuild in baseball and basketball, particularly baseball, if you didn't have guaranteed contracts.
Well,
The Cubs probably would be in the World Series if it weren't for that.
the one thing that is guaranteed is the signing bonus in football. That's guaranteed.
Right, but that's all up front. So once that's done, that's over.
Yeah, right. But the football it's a lot of it's going to be a very interesting year. Also, what I want to see what Dallas does this year. Of course they're going to get a lot of attention because they always do. That it's going. I think one big thing is going to be very interesting to see how their defense winds up being this year with Monty Kiffin coming to be the new defensive coordinator. This guy has been around the league for a long time. Okay, he is coming from college now at USC, but of course we know him from his Tampa Bay days as their defense coordinator down there. So he's in his 70s now, but he's a smart guy, and I think that he can improve Dallas's defense quite a bit. So I want to see that what happens with that, and
sadly though that ain't saying much. They were worse. I think they were one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year, but it'll help a team that can use help from anywhere they can get it. Most people that I've heard think Dallas is going to be an 8-8 year is going to be a good year for them. Now they could surprise. If they surprise, it's not going to be because of Tony Romo. It's going to be because of their defense.
No, I think Tony Romo is going to have a good year this year, and I think he will be part of Dallas having a good team this year. I think they'll be better. I think they'll be better than 8-8. I think they can compete for that division. Them and the Giants are always and Washington is always a big rival game. So,
but will he show up when it counts?
Well,
look at how many times in the past few years he's choked under pressure.
That's right. But Peyton Manning choked for years, and he finally won the Super Bowl.
He's choked. Romo, though, has choked a whole lot more than Peyton Manning. To me, I hate to say it, they're the Buffalo Bills of this era. But at least the Buffalo Bills made the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. The Cowboys, it's like their Super Bowls making it to the playoffs.
Well, actually,
I mean, that's unacceptable. And until Jerry Jones gets out of the way, they're going to be like this. Get used to it, Cowboys fans.
He's not going to get out of his way. And you can make a lot of similarities between Tony Romo and Peyton Manning as far as choking goes before Peyton did win that Super Bowl.
I'd rather, though, have Peyton Manning than Tony Romo any day. But if it really counted, I'd rather have his brother Eli, especially in the playoffs. He's 2 for 2 in the Super Bowl. He's won more Super Bowls than his brother. But everyone, for some reason, still thinks Peyton's the greater quarterback. Peyton's the better regular season quarterback, but Eli's the better postseason quarterback.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably right, but he's not going to ever get the credit as far as that goes.
He's in his brother's shadow.
Yeah, but one thing I want to say about Romo is that his offensive line is not always the best, and the receivers don't always run the right routes, don't always catch the ball. But he's gonna get most of the blame because he is in Dallas, and that's unfortunately what happens when you're in a big market like that. He was expecting to win a Super Bowl. Now he did. He's going to have to prove that he can get over not choking under in pressure situations. And but I think that can happen. But ultimately, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, he's not going to be remembered as being a great quarterback. That's just the way it is. Rings matter a lot in football.
To me, I hate to say it, he's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Now he's not the worst quarterback in the NFL, but he's the most overrated. To me, Mark Sanchez is the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's a joke.
Yeah, it's not Romo's fault because the media wants to sit there and say that that he's an elite quarterback. Personally, I think he's right under that being elite. If he could say the next level, like as far as a ladder, he's at the bottom of being elite.
He's not elite because he's got one playoff win. He's choked. He chokes. Seems like every year getting into the playoffs. He's had. He could have been in several playoff games, but he wasn't because he choked at the end of the regular season. Dallas is horrible in December.
Yeah, but somebody like Philip Rivers, talking about being overrated, he's known as an elite quarterback, and Tony he that's all he does is choke, and Tony Romo is a better quarterback than he is.
I'll disagree though. I think Philip Rivers may be somewhat overrated, but I think the Cowboys have a better team around Tony Romo than than San Diego has around Philip Rivers.
No, I wouldn't necessarily go say that. The Chargers have had talented players around Philip Rivers, and he always finds a way to choke every single time. He throws way too many interceptions.
What I would be interested to see, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I would be interested to see it, is how Tony Romo does in a small market team. Maybe he's just better cut out for a small market team. He might do better in a smaller market. Dallas is like the fifth biggest media market in the country. So, granted, he's in a very large market. And football is king in Texas. In Texas, they have high school football stadiums that are as big as some NFL stadiums.
Yeah, but he's a Cowboy for life. He signed for 6 more years. I don't see him. Jerry Jones loves him. I don't see him moving anywhere else. But
that could change tomorrow. That's how life is in the NFL.
Yeah, but I don't see it unless until you can find somebody better than him, which they don't have. I don't see him moving.
The draft.
Yeah, but no, that's not happening. He's a Cowboy for life. One big important thing, also to end things, is tomorrow with the Wimbledon finale. It's between Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray. Andy Murray, of course, being from Britain. There hadn't been a British player win the Wimbledon in 86 years, so he is trying to break a bad omen of history tomorrow, and I really hope he does it. I think that he has a good chance of doing it, but it's going to be a great match between those two guys. Well, I had a really good time once again tonight. I'm David again,
I'm Justin.
and this is Sports Animals. We'll be back again next Saturday. And we'd like to see all your comments and feedback.
Good night.
Good night.